Live from New York, it's Ask an Engineer.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Ask Engineer. It's me, Ladyada, with me, Mr. Ladyada, kicking off this 2022 with another hour of all the latest news in making, hacking, electronics, soldering, coding, and floppy disk drives. We got an exciting jam-packed show for tonight with lots of products, videos, and more. Lots of tutorials too. What's on tonight's show?
On tonight's show, the code is Nuggets. 10% off in the Adafruit store all the way up to 11:59 p.m. tonight. Anything in stock, you get it. Nuggets is the code. Talk about our Adafruit live series shows, including Show and Tell. It was awesome and amazing. Thank you, everyone, for coming by tonight. It was a great way to kick off the new year, now that we're back doing shows every single week. Time travel, look around in the world of makers, hackers, artists, and engineers, and more. We got some retro cool stuff. Help wanted. We got jobs that cool companies are looking for great talent. And then we got people who are posting up for skills looking for cool companies to join as well. Some main New York City factory footage, some 3D printing, Ion MPI, brought to you by DigiKey and Adafruit. We got some new products, a bunch of top secret. We're going to answer your questions. We do that over in Discord, adafruit.it/Discord. Join all 32,000 of us over there. All that and more on, you guessed it, Ask an Engineer. All right. So let's do this. First up, got to do a little bit of an update. So we are in the middle of the wave in New York City. So I'll just give you an idea of what's going on here. Nobody's here right now at Adafruit, so we've taken off our masks. Everyone at Adafruit wears N95, KN95 masks. We've been doing that for a while. Everyone has paid time off for testing. There's a lot of testing going on. Back in October, we bought a whole bunch of at-home rapid tests back when people were like, it's over.
Why would you need these?
And so we were able to get a bunch of them. So we've been giving those out to our teams. And we've just been doing around-the-clock coordination. It's been really challenging. Everyone is fatigued with making decisions. It is just tough, but we're almost through this, everyone. And it looks like this might be it. I'll tell you, just as someone who helps manage over 130 plus people, if you've been vaccinated and boosted and you get this, nothing is happening. Our team is telling me I'm bored. I don't even want to stay home. Can I just come in? The answer is no, not until a certain period of time. But it looks like that's the way through. That it's the thing that's common across all this. So mild to no symptoms has been it. So that's a data point. Maybe we're a little different. We didn't have to do a mandate. Our entire team got vaccinated all the way back last year. And then anyone who wanted to get a booster did. I think most folks did. And that seems to be what's going on. So we'll continue to put updates on our website and more as we get more information, but that's what it looks like right now. Okay, Ladyada, when people shop, they can use that code Nuggets.
Nuggets.
And then they also get free stuff.
They do get free stuff. I know we've changed our freebies up a little bit, and we're going to change them up a little bit more. First up, if you enjoyed the pink RP2040 Feather freebie, good for you, because we ran out. So we're back to the Promo Proto for $99 or more. We have the half-size Promo Proto that we'll give you. Maybe we'll change that out later this year for something else. $149 or more, you get a free Stemma QT board. You have a different range of options. You'll get a different one each time, and if you make an account, we'll make sure that it's really different each time, not just random. Free UPS shipping, $199 or more, and then $299 or more. We're still giving away a Circuit Playground Bluefruit, but that's going to change soon because we just got Circuit Playground Expresses back in stock, and so we're going to swap it out because the Express has much more support across platforms. So hopefully you enjoyed that. If you want to get one of those free, order $300 or more real soon now before we change it out. Okay,
and this is a combo deal, so you can use the code Nuggets in the store. Please do that. It'll support us, a woman-owned open-source hardware company in New York City. I think we're the only one, and we're still standing. Adafruit has a bunch of live shows. We just did one, Show and Tell. Special thanks to Pedro and JP for hosting some of the weeks that we needed it. We had to take care of a bunch of Adafruit business. And then today, it was super busy, but the Show and Tell is really special. We've been doing it for, like 10 years or so. And it's one of the things that just brings folks together, and I think we all need that. So this was, every single one is my favorite, but this one was a great way for us to kick off the new year. We had Jay, who is showing this wearable computer, and Jay now is doing stuff with DigiKey. Really amazing maker, really good to see Jay. And then make sure you watch this on whatever video publishing platform you like. YouTube is usually one of them. And then we ended it with the Zen flute. Absolutely amazing.
So zen.
And it was just really neat to see such a cool group of people that obviously were not together in the same room, but it sure felt like it. So thanks for coming by, everyone. That was really delightful. And then for the folks who were asking us, oh, are you going to have the 5 1/4 support with CircuitPython and these floppy disks? Yes. What about, I want to do this music synth thing? Yes. What about, I got this other thing? Yes. So the show and tell is also kind of a preview of the future. It's a lot of stuff that we're working on with our team as well. And also JP showed a preview of some of the things he's working on as well. That was really cool. And then Joey came by, and if you haven't already, go check out Crowd Supply. We're a backer of Joey's watch. Really cool Casio. I guess you'd say it's like an after mod. I don't know. What would be the...
Yeah, it's like a
sensor watch.
It's like a circuit swap.
Yeah, it's cool. So anyways, check that out. And congratulations on your successful Crowd Supply, Joey. On Sundays, we do Desk of Ladyada. And, great timing. We started to, towards the end of 2021, we changed the graphics up to make it retro because we're doing lots of retro projects. And now a lot of the projects we're showing are, so the first part, you showed off some stuff. What was it?
Okay, it looks like I was like, what did I show off?
Been a long week.
So I designed a bunch of Cutie Pi, so I showed them off. We'll show those at the end of this video as well in more detail. I also got my floppy disk interface PCBs that are supposed to make it a little easier for me to do my floppy disk interfacing without bunches of wires everywhere. And those came in as well, so that's super cool. And I made a bunch of pretty pins, and I designed some BFFs, some boards that plug into the back of Cutie Pis. Okay.
And then we do a segment called The Great Search, and that's where Ladyada uses her powers of good to help you find things on digikey.com. And boy, it's hard to find parts now, so it's a good segment.
Yes. This week, so I designed a Cutie Pi ESP32 Pico, so it's like the smallest possible ESP32, so adorable. And ESP32s have this kind of funky reset circuit that uses 2 NPN transistors connected like side by side to the USB serial converter, RTS, and DTR pins. And I want to have that on this board. I want to have the auto reset circuitry. So I had to find like the smallest dual NPN transistor set. And so I just showed how to use DigiKey to do that. And I found some that are in stock, and I ordered them. And I'm going to put them together when my PCBs arrive.
Okay. And then we do Desk of Lady every Sunday around like hacker clock, which is sometimes it's around 7, sometimes it's around 10 o'clock at night. So
hacker time.
Yeah, it's hacker time. All right. And then every Tuesday we do JP's product pick. It's a live show that we broadcast live inside the product page. So you don't have to remember any discount codes or anything. It's a discount automatically there, and JP shows off a cool Adafruit product, and the discount's automatically applied. We got that idea from a lot of the international stores like Alibaba and AliExpress and Taobao. They were broadcasting live inside their pages, and we thought, hey, that's a good idea. So we started doing that a while ago, and it's a fun show. So here's the latest from JP from this week.
It is the Stemma mini relay breakout board. So I have a Cutie Pi here so I can plug in my power ground and signal. And then I've got a standard sort of 110 light socket here. For my connection over to the Stemma QT relay board, I have a lamp plug that's plugged in to my AC power, and then I'm using one of these nice Wago connector nuts to connect one line, and the other is going into common, and then my lamp wire is going into the side of this. And I'm initially setting it to false, which means it's not going to trip the relay. If I just simply change this to true and hit save, bam, we have our light bulb going off. So you can see I'm sort of terrifyingly underlit now. It is the Stemma non-latching mini relay breakout board.
Okay, and tomorrow's JP's workshop, where you're going to be able to see the continuation of the project he showed on the show and tell. And then we also have a segment called CircuitPython Parsec, and this is the latest one. So if you want to catch up on it, watch this one. If you've already seen it, no problem. New one coming tomorrow, but here's the latest one from JP.
For the CircuitPython parsec today, I wanted to talk about doing linear interpolation between two values. So this is useful. I'll show an example in a moment of doing some color mixing between two color values. But in its purest form, what you can see here in my little serial output here inside of Atom is I'm running this code on a little Cutie Pi here, RP2040 Cutie Pi. And if you look at that output, what's happening is I'm essentially moving a slider between two values in a linear fashion. So you can see I have the starting number, it says reset, and then 123. And then I'm sliding along in these little 0.05 increments up to an end value of 456. So these could be any values that you are sliding between. And the way this works is you can see the most important part here is this little function called lerp, which stands for linear interpolation. And takes an argument of a beginning value, an end value, and then t is essentially the slider of where are we along this interpolation between the values. Then in the function, when it gets called, in this case, it's being called with start, begin at 123, end at 456, and the t initially is at 0, and then that'll increment up. What it returns is that beginning value plus where that slider is times the end value minus the beginning value. So it's a really succinct little function. But what that gives us here is it's printing out, in this case, the slider moving between those. So if I look at a practical example of this, I'm going to unplug that. And this is that little slider code that I have with the interpolation between, in this case, 3 colors, but it's using that linear interpolation to go from one color to the next in R, G, and B, so it's having multiples of those happen at the same time. And so that is how you can do some very simple linear interpolation inside of CircuitPython, and that is your CircuitPython parsec.
Okay, and Fridays at 2 p.m., deep dive with Scott. So check that out. You can probably watch the progress on a bunch of the internals of CircuitPython or sometimes some of the special projects that we're doing.
Yes, Scott has been doing a lot with Raspberry Pi, like low level, and he's still working on that. But transitioning to hacking on ESP32S3, which is the next Espressif Wi-Fi chip, which we'll also talk about later on the show.
All right, time travel time. Let's talk about the future.
Yeah?
Yeah, so coming up very soon, we will be shipping AdaBox Edition. And we moved to Edition because with part shortages and just all sorts of stuff from, you name it. I don't even want to see what the bingo card has in store.
So we just gotta, I gotta notice that Xilinx has now still a 2-year lead on some FPGAs. 2 more years. Not like if you order now, you're not gonna get it till 2024. I don't even know if we're gonna be alive then.
No, we will be, but are these getting
We're gonna be mutated.
Are these getting shipped from like another planet?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, like, it's insane.
You know, one solution for all this would be a worldwide stasis program where we all go into stasis.
Oh, stasis, and then when we come back, the chips are ready.
Hey,
Yeah, okay.
But anyways, we'll be shipping Winter Edition probably in
February,
March-ish.
yeah.
So we have a few slots open. I think we have 10 out of thousands. So go to AdaBox.com.
And we're not making more slots.
We can't, and we won't, because we want to make sure we can deliver all of these. We'll have whatever, if you have a slot, you are going to get an AdaBox, and the AdaBoxes tend to be something that people really want and something that we might have later, but you'll definitely get it. So AdaBox.com. Next up, I've been posting some photos on my personal Twitter account, and I asked Bunny if this was okay, and I say, hey, Bunny, guess what I found? A photo of us at Adafruit apartment from 12 years ago. So this is when we got our first pick and place. We got this one because it could fit through the door. It was in our kitchen, and this was when Adafruit was like just a couple of people, and Bunny came by, and we were so happy they came by, and Lamore was reading the book for this thing to start to get it working. And I put up a camera there, and I said, hey, say cheese. And I also said, you two are the best people I know. And I got them both to grin, and then I took that photo.
That's sweet.
Yeah. Other things, we have a bunch of retro photo shoots that we did. Some of them we're doing right now. Some of them we did last year right before the pandemic started. So I'm just getting around to publishing them now. And so this
The pandemic started 2 years ago, Phil.
I know. Yeah, it's March 668th, 2020. So this is the Logitech Cyberman. And this
cool.
was great to play Doom with. This was a Google device they announced at a Google I/O event and then quickly killed it off. It's called like the Google Nexus Q, and it's this round speaker
It
cube
looks
thing.
cool as hell.
Yeah.
It's very nexty.
And this is a promotional item that went along with the JVC Videosphere. So it's a round clock that went with the round TV. We also posted up some beautiful clear photos of the Radio Shack Trimline phone. And I'll be posting up the Bell South version of it. The PCB works amazing, but you can see this is when Radio Shack.
This is one of the
stuff.
coolest phones.
Yeah, and this all works. Someone said, "Oh wow, like how old are these photos?" I was like, "No, this one we just took last week." But this is part of my collection of retro stuff that I've had for years and years and years. And then we also had a Princess phone. It's also, it looks like for you youngins, this is a game controller for your Xbox. Don't worry about it. Next up, Help Wanted. Let's go over the jobs. I'll answer just a quick question. How much was the Luna pick and place when we got it?
The Luna, I think,
Yeah.
was $20,000. I want to say like $25,000 altogether with all the feeders.
Yeah. And we paid for it in cash and everything. We didn't do any loans or credit cards
Yeah.
or anything. And we had to make sure it could fit in an apartment.
Yeah, the thing about it, it wasn't, I mean, now you can get simple pick and places. I mean, there's actually quite a good pick and place. I mean, the software was like, it was a thing, but it did work. And I could put together basic breakouts. You know, the first like 1,000 PIDs from Adafruit were manufacturable. And yeah, it ran on 110 power, like 120 volt. And that was the really big deal because you can get a cheap pick and place, but it won't fit in your apartment. It won't run on 110 volts. And this at the time was one of the only ones. Now you can get like Neodens for like $8,000, $6,000. But this was, it's a real pick and place. It had advanced feeders. It had a bottom camera. It wasn't super fast, but it was quite good. It could do QFPs, QFNs, stuff like that. So it definitely kickstarted Adafruit. Got quite far with it, actually.
And after we were finished with it, we donated it to a hackerspace, and they still use it. So anyways, this was kind of job related a little bit. That's why I thought it was okay to put this question in. But we are going to get to the questions at the end, don't worry. So right now, to kick off the new year, there's 3 jobs. Education engineer at Hack Club. That's full-time in Vermont. There's a lead firmware engineer for Goliath. That's remote. And a code needed please for Ruby Creek Mushrooms in Brisbane, Australia. A lot of the times that companies are looking for people, they use Adafruit stuff, and they want someone who knows our hardware, and they appreciate that we do all this open source software, but they want to find a developer to help out. And they also know we're an education company, so that's why Hack Club has their job there. So check it out, jobs.adafruit.com. Lady and I approve each one of them, so there's nothing weird or sketchy and scammy. And, we have a pretty good record of playing matchmaker with cool companies and cool makers. It's time for Python on Hardware News. Okay, so as always, please go to Adafruit Daily, check out the newsletter. There's a lot going on. So this was one of my favorite projects of the week. This is you wear this to the club and just says goth.
I just like that light blue look. That is like, it's a very Tron cyber. It's like EL wire.
And then I saw our friend Eva from the EFF. She's like, I'm going to make one that's going to say armed, and it starts beeping.
Counting down.
Yeah. So anyways, there's a lot of stuff going on in the newsletter. But this week, I wanted to make sure we focus on a couple of things. Actually, one more thing. I thought that this was a really neat project, and I thought the Hackaday folks came up with a great title. Macro Popsicle melts in your desk, not in your mouth. And this is a little CircuitPython 2-key keyboard. Oh,
it's like a 2% milk, but it's frozen.
It's so cute. So there's a lot going on. And I'll say this, like the amount of stuff that we're seeing that people are doing with CircuitPython right now, it's getting really hard to keep up with. Anne's doing an amazing job on the newsletter, so sign up. But we do have to talk about 2022 and what we want to see in CircuitPython. So I thought I'd start this week. So this is what I would like in CircuitPython 2022.
Okay.
I would like to be able to plug in an HDMI cable into a CircuitPython board, and that'll be the output from the board, and then plug it into kind of like what I'm doing now. Like right now there's a camera plugged in. We have an overhead over here. What I would like to be able to do is switch over to that video feed and have it do all sorts of video effects. And by video effects, I mean like neat patterns and be able to do like video mixing with it. Maybe I would pump the audio through it, and maybe there would be a line going across the screen, and when the audio would be picked up from the video board, it would start to make, you know, like a little thing, like a visualizer.
Yeah.
But I want it to be live in real time, and I want to be able to overlay that on things like this. So I'm currently buying a few of these like video synths, and there's software ones that are hard to use and expensive, and you need like a M1 Pro processor. And then there's some that are like, they're kind of okay, they're kits and they're DIY ones. Some of them use a Raspberry Pi, some of them do some other things. But I really want one that's CircuitPython based. So CircuitPython with HDMI out support, with scriptable things that you can do. Almost like, you know, like processing. You can kind of do some neat stuff with graphics. Something like you turn a knob and it makes the display go weird, and then you would overlay that onto OBS or something like that, just to do like live art stuff. I thought that would be kind of neat, like a video toy. So that's my CircuitPython
That's
2022.
so 90s.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that's my request.
Okay.
The other thing that we wanted to talk about this week, because this is a special edition of the Python on Hardware, is we got a lot of floppy stuff going on. So we're going to do 2 for 2 here. One is the work that we got done on Friday, and then this is like hot off the press. Jepler got CircuitPython working with 5 1/4 floppy disks. So I'm going to play those back to back, and that'll be our Python on Hardware news for the week. If you like retro hardware, if you like being able to archive stuff and upload it online so people can share computer science history, you're going to like all this stuff. Take it away, present and future and past us. Ladyada, what is this?
This is a Feather M4, and it's on a tripler board with a floppy Featherwing connected to this floppy drive. It's got a diskette that I've got some files in it. And this Feather is actually running CircuitPython. It's a build that Jepler just gave me because he just implemented Adafruit Floppy, which is hardware native support for reading MFM floppies. So let's rerun the code. And it'll actually list all the files. I put some old FRAC text files, and I have a little bit of a ASCII code here that will let me page through the text files. So it's reading the FAT, it's reading the files. I can read my old text files if I like on a diskette. And this is coming soon to CircuitPython. So we have native floppy disk file system support. Nice work. Thanks, Jepler.
Hi, Jeff here with a very stylish vintage Microsoft MS-DOS 5 upgrade floppy and a program in CircuitPython that likes to pretend it is a vintage operating system. So let's see what we can do with the version of CircuitPython I've been cooking up. We can list a directory, and I suppose we should probably read the instructions. Anyway, that's about it. Can't wait to see how you'll use CircuitPython to work on any archival floppies that you might have that are still of interest. Thanks, and have a good one.
And that's Python on Hardware news this week. And again, don't forget, you can get this delivered in your mailbox. There's Blinka, the friendly snake, that'll deliver it for you. And you do that at adafruitdaily.com, where we do not spam, we do not trick you. It has nothing to do with your store account. We did that on purpose. All right, Ladyada, we're an open source hardware company. I don't know if you know. And we have 2,608 guides.
A lot of guides.
There's a lot. And we're at the point where when we do this segment, I have to expand the screen so you can see all the guides.
Yes, well, we have some guides that are updates too, and so because we want to when we add new pages to guides, they get bumped up to the top. So, for the Adafruit Feather RP2040, Arduino support is pretty stable for the RP2040. So we started documenting for the RP2040 how to install the Philhauer core and some like tips and tricks with it. So if you have one of our RP2040 boards, please do check out the guides. We're adding to those guides the Arduino pages to help you get set up and blink LEDs and use NeoPixels and all that good stuff. Noam Pedro made this Cutie Pi step fit case. We have a video to show it'll work with any Cutie Pi board or Seed Shao board, which is the same size. The Adafruit IO Whippersnapper has added more boards, and so Brett has documented, I think, the Arduino Wi-Fi 1010 and the Nano Connect, two Wi-Fi boards from Arduino have added support, and we show you how to do that. Also the Halloween M4 guide, I don't remember what we did, but we updated. I think we added
A lot going on.
like factory test firmware page to it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't remember. There's a lot of guides.
But you know what? It's worth pointing out that
we do maintain.
yeah, we do. And when you put feedback in the guides, we read it. And one of the things that's kind of a bummer, sometimes you buy something and then you go and you look at like the documentation, and it was like from 5 years ago, and you're like, oh no. And so you can always look at the date and when we created it, and you can look at all the updates.
Yeah.
And we've been doing a lot of updates.
And we do try to keep things up to date. I mean, I
all
know
work.
we worked on the Raspberry Pi eyeballs this week, Phil B and
Yeah.
others.
All right, next up.
Okay, next up. Published a guide for the ESP32S2 TFT Feather. I think Jepler updated the camera images of CircuitPython. I do not remember what updated, but I think Jepler probably added some documentation. Evo wrote a guide on using the KB2040 with an off-the-shelf macro pad. So this is a Navi 10 macro pad. It's like a nice 10-character kind of like mini macro pad, navigation pad. And she's updated, it's designed originally for the Pro Micro, but it showed how to use it with CircuitPython, and you can easily change key maps. Tim C ported this web page that we found that would like make all the fake sounds like from Slack, like the tick 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 sounds and like the ding dongs from your trillions and your messengers and your Zooms and all that. And he made it into a little Pi portal that when you click it, it'll make those sounds. And so if you want people to think you're busy, or if you just like to generate anxiety within yourself for some reason, you can make this project come to life on your desk.
All right, next up.
Dan Hubbard added a page to the cooperative multitasking in CircuitPython with the async IO page showing how to use buttons to control neopixels. And so you can have neopixel animations and buttons that control direction and speed, and how to do that like using async IO, having cooperative multitasking. So a really good example of you have buttons and something that is happening that you want to react to the buttons that is going in a loop, how to use async IO to yield out and async wait. And then during that async wait time, you can read button presses. So it's a more elegant way of doing asynchronous control. Scott wrote up using CircuitPython on bare metal Raspberry Pi. So you're running CircuitPython directly on the Broadcom chip. Works with the Raspberry Pi W, the Raspberry Pi 2 and 2W and the original on the W, I think, and the Raspberry Pi 4 and the Raspberry Pi 400. Basically anything that exposes the native USB through the USB port, which is only the most recent, or the Pi Zero boards. Liz Clark did a sweet, no-code, just soldering passive mixer with 4 analog stereo pots. And then Tim C. wrote another quick MagTag project where every day it'll fetch the latest status for the James Webb Telescope and tell you what is up with it. It only changes about daily. So when you wake up in the morning and making your tea and like making your oatmeal, you can see how this telescope's doing.
Apparently, because this is how it works now, everything has a podcast. And there was a podcast. There's multiple podcasts about this, now spaceborne telescope, and they were saying, boy, it'd be great to have like a little like desk thing that just said what's going on today with it as a little single serving device. And then someone said, oh, but you know what? It should be like Wi-Fi. Maybe. Oh, I heard about e-ink. So here you go.
Yeah, it just coincidentally we planned this a week ago, but we should tell them about this project.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do some factory footage.
Okay.
And here's the Disney headquarters across the street from Adafruit. It's just getting bigger. If you wonder what happens when you subscribe to Disney Plus, where the money goes,
Every $7 buys one beam.
it gets turned into steel. All right, it's 3D printing time. We're going to do a twofer. The first one is the Whippersnapper video, and the second one is a speed up. Take it away, Noam Pedro.
Hey, what's up folks? In this video we're taking a look at Whippersnapper with the new Adafruit Cutie Pi. Whippersnapper now has support for Adafruit's newest Wi-Fi board, making it one of the easiest ways to do IoT projects. The Adafruit Cutie Pi now comes in a new flavor featuring the ESP32S2. It can also run both Arduino and CircuitPython. Here's how to set up the Cutie Pi ESP32S2 with Whippersnapper in Adafruit I/O. Go to the Quick Start Guide and scroll down to the installation page. In the Download section, click on the Download button to launch the release page on GitHub. Scroll down and look for the UF2 file for the Cutie Pi ESP32S2. Double press the Reset button to get the board into bootloader mode. The NeoPixel will turn green when it's ready. Then just drag and drop the UF2 file onto the USB drive to automatically flash the firmware. Using your favorite text editor, you want to edit the secrets JSON file with your Adafruit I/O and Wi-Fi credentials. Then hit the Reset button once again to get the board connected to your Wi-Fi router. In Whippersnapper, the device is automatically detected and you'll have the option to rename the device. You can easily connect this temperature and humidity sensor using Stemma Qt. In Whippersnapper, click New Component and select the AHT20 sensor. Then select how often you want to send and receive data, and that's it! You can see the raw values in the device page and start logging data in a dashboard. We think it's the quickest and easiest way to get your IoT projects up and running. We designed and 3D printed a snap-fit case to house the Cutie Pi and a Stemma Qt breakout board. The bottom cover has a built-in holder for the Cutie Pi that can be secured without any screws. Just insert the board at an angle and slightly bend to snap-fit the PCB into the corners. It's easy to plug in a Stemma Qt cable on the back of the Cutie Pi and connect the sensor without having to solder. You can use M25 hardware to secure the Stemma Qt board to the case. The top cover has several vents that can be used as mounting holes so you can secure the board in different orientations. The bottom cover features similar slots so you can mount it to either the top or bottom. There's also mounting tabs on the case so you can use them to attach it to another surface. Just snap fit the case over the cover with the opening lined up with the USB-C port. It's really modular so you can easily customize it to fit your project. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more projects from Adafruit.
Okay, and a little bit of a reminder of the code nuggets. At the very beginning of the show, the code was off. I turned it back on. Just make sure you put the plural form of nugget. Nuggets.
Nuggets.
Nuggets, plural, because you can't have just one. All right, let's do INPI.
That's right.
On NPI.
This week, a return favorite, Molex, Ladyada. What is the I on NPI this week, brought to you by DigiKey?
Okay, this week we're featuring Molex, again known for great cables, great connectors. And they have put together a first robotic competition cable kit specifically for people doing first robotics. But hey, secret between you, me, and the rest of the internet. This is actually a pretty good deal on a whole bunch of cables that can be used for any kind of robotics or mechatronics or sensor or sensing or interfacing projects. It doesn't have to, you can buy it even if you're not in first, but if you are in first, I think it's going to be very handy. So I thought this was a nice partnership and a good way for Molex to help out kids doing first robotics.
Okay.
So this is the SL Modular Connectors and Cables Kit. It's a box that is full of like 20 different cables that are the kind of common SL Modular, easy plug, 2.54 millimeter pitch, 0.1 inch pitch connectors. I'll show the cable kit, but there's sockets and plugs. And what I thought was nice about this was Molex also sponsors a bunch of first robotics teams, and they have resources available, so check it out. They sponsor like 7 teams, and they have documentation on how to use these cables and connectors. And for the robots that I've built and worked on, and I didn't work on first robotics. I'm a little too old for that. But at school we did have a mini robotics club. And one thing I learned really quickly is that you can have the best code and the most machined hardware and the strongest motors, but if you have one misconnected cable, your entire robot doesn't work. And the vibration and motion and twisting of robotics is really tough on cables. And so you want to have really solid, well-connected sensors, motors, power supplies, batteries, etc., so that you don't end up in competition and then everything breaks because something came loose. So they're using the SL Modular Kit, which I like. It has this little latching connector option. The current capability of the connector is 3 amps, which is great. The pitch is 0.1 inch, which is also really great. It's very easy to use. You can quickly prototype with headers and off-the-shelf cables, and then upgrade to these finished cables with latches when you're done. It's good for signal and some low power. And we do have a video on crimping, and so traditionally, if people were going to make custom cables, at least when I grew up, it was oh, well, you get a crimper and you get some wire and you make your own cables. You just buy 100 connectors and you just sit down and you crimp them. But the problem is that as I've gotten older, it's I want to crimp less because crimping is actually really, really hard. Crimping with needle nose pliers is kind of the first thing people do, and it's maybe 1 out of 5 end up working really well. And then if you get the proper hand crimp tool, that'll get you farther, but you're still going to probably only have 2/3 of your crimps work out correctly. And if you don't get it right the first time, you can't re-crimp. You have to kind of start over, and sometimes you have to even recut and restrip the wire.
Re-crimping. Nothing worse than re-crimping.
So buying pre-crimped cables is the way to go. In fact, here at Adafruit we have, not for the SL Molex kits, but we have some basic premium header kits where you get pre-crimped raw wires, then you get housings that you plug the wires into. And that's what you've got in this Molex kit as well. Now, some cables they pre-made, they have a bunch of different lengths. Each one's documented in the data sheet. So check it out. There's different lengths, and they're all wired with these nice zip tie bindings. There's just a bunch of different items. I mean, you can see here there's 20 different items in the kit. So they have a little bit of everything, but altogether it's enough to get a small robot going. You might need 2 or 3 boxes for a larger robot, but for a small Lego-ish, desktop bot, the size of a small cat or something, which is an official robot size, this kit will work great. And it's in stock at DigiKey.
And as it goes in the chat, crimping ain't easy. So do check it out in DigiKey. And we have a little video we're going to show.
We're going to video, and they can also show, the video is quite long, so we're just going to show a minute and a half, and then I'll show what's in the box after.
Let's jump in and get started talking about the first robotics programs, the products that we work with to try to help students. So here at Molex, we wanted to find a way that we could make it easier for teams to use our connectors and build their robots, not only prototype, but learn more about how to use our connector systems and do it efficiently and faster. And so what we did was we talked to a lot of different teams out there, and we said, what are the challenges that you run into when trying to build cable assemblies? And what we were told is most teams are trying to use a hand tool to cut raw wire, crimp and poke those cable assemblies into the housings, and then it's still a connection system. And so we started talking to teams about what are the most common connectors they use, and one of them that they selected was the XL connector system, and that's the one that we decided to use for our kits that we offer. Alan, could you tell me a little bit about how, why it's so popular for teams to use the SL connector system?
So the SL connector system uses 2.54 millimeter pitch, and that complies with the FIRST Robotics guidelines. In addition, one of the more common gauges for the wires is 22 gauge, and it can go as small as 30 gauge. So this is one of those rare connector systems that has a very wide range of gauges. And when I say gauge, I'm talking about the American Wire Gauge Standard, AWG.
Okay, and you wanted to show this off?
Yes, please go to the overhead. Okay, so this is what you get. SL Modular Connector and Cable Kit, First Robotics branded, and then you go to their website for more info. And I did open the bags, so like these all came in bags that I have opened, so they don't actually come loose.
This is like a cooking show. We did some preparation before the show.
So you've got some nice, 3-pin extender cables here. You've got also, like I said, some raw cables. These have sockets and plugs, and these are like really nice. These are like really nice crimps. Like I can just kind of tell by feeling them. Like these are solid crimpy pieces, and then these are the SL modular housings that you can plug the cables into. They do give you some crimp ends if you wanted to go down that path, which I don't recommend. A bunch of these extender cables. So I think it's like, once you get your cable going, if you need to extend it a bunch. Extenders, another longer raw version, so like 2 shorter ones and 1 longer one, a bunch of just like power cable, and then some more housings, and then 1 like cut wire. So there's like, this is a very short extender cable. So a bunch of different options in here. Don't forget, you can cut and solder these wires. Like it's easier to cut and solder and then heat shrink cables than trying to recrimp wires. So that's what I recommend. But this is like a good little like sensor servo extender kit. Nice durable wires, nice thick gauges, and they all have this nice zip tie keeping the cables together. But you can always cut it if you want to like spread the wires out.
All right, and that is this week's Ion MPI.
On MPI.
Okay, Ladyada, before we go into new products, don't forget the Coz Nuggets, 10% off in Adafruit store all the way up to 11:59 p.m. That's what we're doing. Are you ready for this? Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. All right, we have a ginormous amount of pots.
That's right. As you may know, pots are now legal in New York, and so we are stocking them. So
Adafruit is the pot dispensary.
Yeah, it's like those trucks that you see on Times Square. So we basically are carrying like all the different styles of alpha pots, and basically I had a bunch of like synth friends email me and say like, there's this company that used to sell all these alpha pots, and they're closing, and it would be really cool if Adafruit stocked these. They're great for repair, or if you're making synthesizers. And I was like, sure, why not? How many could there be? Okay, it turns out there's like 25. So we've got like 1K, 5K, 2K, 20, 50, 100, okay, 1 mega ohm, linear log audio taper, reverse log and audio taper, and then we even got like W taper, which is half reverse log and then half normal log. We got them all. These are all right angle, 0.2 inch spacings. So they work in breadboards. They're panel mount. They are round shaft. I was a little bit like, why do we want round shafts? But apparently that's what people want. So you can use knobs that are either designed for round shafts or have a set screw in them. Or you can like sand them down, or whatever, if you want to put a D shaft knob on them. But great for repair, or if you're building stuff. There are like this right angle size style, but like guess what? You can bend those legs out. They don't have to be right angle if you want them to be straightforward style. So you've got like a bunch of them. I'm not going to go through all the different ones.
Yeah.
We'll do the dual gang stereo ones next week, because this was quite a party to get every one of these in stock. But there's a little drop down to select which one you'd like.
Next up,
Okay, next up, we've got this like dual head USB-C type connector. And don't say it. And then this is, so basically you've got a Cutie Pi and you want to turn it into a Trinky. This will do the job. So let me grab one and I'll show it overhead.
Yeah.
But hold on a second. Hi. Okay, this is it. So, boom. My generation was ruined by Requiem for a Dream. Okay, so
Yeah.
here you go. And then this plugs into here. Kabam. And now you can plug it into your laptop. And it's like, you can make a little dongle thing. Because people are like, oh, why don't you make the Cutie Pi with like the USB-C that like plugs in? And I was like, that's like a mechanical nightmare. This is actually much better because you get the strength of this half through hole. See how like the pads on the side of the USB-C go through the PCB? Like the connector for the signal and power are surface mount, but the mechanical connection is through hole. The problem with the USB-C plugs that I've seen is that they don't have those through hole tabs. They have surface mount tabs, at least the ones that I've been able to find. So this one is much stronger. You plug this in and it's basically the same thing. It's a little bit longer. Plug it into your USB-C computer. Last week we put in the version that has USB-C to USB-A. So if your laptop or computer has an A port, you can do that. And guess what? You don't like this text? Not a problem because it's USB-C. It's totally reversible. Plug it upside down. Amazing.
All right, next up.
Oh, that's the image for the potentiometer.
All right, yeah, that was.
In case you forgot potentiometers.
Remember that?
Remember
it was a long time ago.
Okay.
Okay, next up.
Next up, it's a USB-C SOIC clip. And you're probably like, Ladyada, why is this kind of like expensive for a SOIC clip? And this is because it's actually a good one. I've not carried these for a while because they've always been like really painful to use and or they don't work with wide SOIC clips. And I'm like, look, if I'm going to get this, it has to work with wide SOIC clips. This one does, as shown here. We've got the feather, pink RP feather 2040, and hold on, hard to do on the overhead. 1 second. I want to make sure I get the things lined up. Hold on. You got to like look carefully. Okay, perfect. So now, and if I didn't have bad vision and biomechatronic control of my body, you can clip onto this very easily. It doesn't hurt to use, unlike many SOIC clips. It works with wide and narrow. And then on the other side, you just get your plain dip. So what is this good for? Well, first off, you're debugging your QSPI connection on your RP2040. How many times have you had to do that? I had to do it 3 times. If I had a nickel for each time, I'd only have 15 cents, but it's still weird that it happened 3 times. And then it's also good if you want to program EEPROMs that are on a motherboard. I2C EEPROMs, you clip this on and then you can program them without desoldering the chip. You want to dump the firmware from an SPI chip that's, holds firmware for your FPGA or whatever. All that and more with this handy dandy SOIC to dip chip. And it's just like got little, it's like dragon teeth. Arr. Like this hurts. Ow. Don't do that. Use this for SOIC clips only. Do not put on your body.
All right, we have another custom keep cap from one of our favorite companies in the world, Glitch.
That's right, Glitch. They are a New York City company. They do cool web stuff, and we use their web stuff to do our web serial and web USB projects. Like basically, whenever we have little mini JavaScript projects, we use Glitch, and it's a great way to code. And like I said, they're here local in New York City, run by Neil Dash.
Glitch.com.
Is really into
It's
prints.
the simplest way to create a web app. So everybody always talks about it, but this is where you can actually do it. So it's like developer tools, but it's in a way that
And it's sharing.
You can mix and remix.
I think that's why there's
more.
2 fish. There's like 1 fish, and then you clone it, and you make another fish.
Yeah, and I think for the folks that remember back when the web was creative, you'll really like Glitch. So you want to show this off?
Yes, this is the keycap. I mean, honestly, the videos.
Okay.
Kinda
Yeah, that's
nicer.
fine. Let's just stick to the video.
But,
we spent a lot of time on this video. So let's,
Yeah, it's a nice video. So this is it's a standard keycap, like escape key. So you can put on the top row of your Cherry MX keyboard.
Next up.
Next up, It's a Qtification, the MCP 4725. We've had this breakout for a very long time. It's product 935. That's how old it is. We have updated it to be STEMMA QT compatible. Now the pinout is actually the same. The size has physically changed. It has mounting holes. It's got STEMMA QT connector, so you can plug and play it. We added a terminal block at the top, so if you wanted to like use this, you know, with just having the V out and ground pins exposed, and of course, it's much easier to use now because you don't need to wire it. It is an I2C 12-bit DAC. So it's not super fast because it's I2C. That said, you can drive it at 3.4 megahertz, like super speed I2C. We have some code to generate like a sine wave, a triangle wave. You know, I don't know if it would necessarily be great for audio waveforms. I mean, maybe slow ones, but it would be good for controlling something that takes an analog in as a good control signal generator. You can have 2-on-1 I2C port by soldering the jumper on the back.
All right, next up.
Okay. You're like, hey, you had the TFT feather last week.
Yeah.
True.
I rearranged stuff and I
my demo,
I hid the power supply, sorry.
my demo was not so successful, and I really wanted to show this off. So I'm bringing it back. So this is the ESP32S2 TFT. So it's ESP32S2 chip with a 240 by 135 color IPS TFT, and what IPS means is that even from angles you can read it, and color is beautiful. Color TFT, it's got, you know, battery port here, so I can run this off of a battery. Now I'm like super paranoid. You can run off a battery. It's got a STEMMA QT port, so hey, you've got that MCP 4725. You want to add a DAC to this? Go to town. You can plug it in and chain I2C devices. You got the reset button, and you've got the boot button on the bottom there. This is just running a little demo that is scanning the I2C port, so when I unplug it, the I2C disappears. NeoPixel on the top, and on the bottom is the ESP32S2, which is a single-core Tensilica 240 megahertz processor with built-in Wi-Fi. It doesn't have Bluetooth Low Energy, it doesn't have Bluetooth Classic, and it's only single-core, but it does have native USB, which means it can act like a keyboard or a mouse or a disk drive, and you can use it with CircuitPython. It's got a lot of support circuitry here, a battery monitor chip on I2C. The TFT and the I2C port are on separate low dropout regulators, which means you can totally turn off any external hardware connected to I2C or the TFT to get into a really low power. So in sleep mode, you can get down to about 80 microamps, which is about as low as you can get on the ESP32S2. The chip itself doesn't really go much lower. Got battery charging. There's an optional spot for a BME 280 if you wanted to solder one in. But otherwise, it's just kind of nice because it's all in one. You know, you can even use the boot button as a GPIO button input if you wanted to. So you can like have a display with a single button, I2C sensors and stuff. And of course, it's feather compatible, so you can use all the feather wings you know and love. It's all in one. It's very cute. You know, inspired by the Lily Teeny Go, but I wanted something that was feather compatible, so you could use it in like, you know, the feather ecosystem, swapping out different boards as desired.
Okay, and the star of the show tonight, besides you, Ladyada, our community, our customers, our team, and everyone who supports open source hardware and more is...
It's the ESP32S2 Cutie Pi with UFL connector. This might look really familiar. You might be like, hey, this looks just like the ESP32S2 Cutie Pi with antenna that you released 2 weeks ago. Yes, it looks very similar, except instead of an onboard antenna, it has a UFL connector. Why? Because Wi-Fi, often you want to have like really good range, or you know, you want to connect to a router far away, or you want to transfer a lot of data and you don't want to have signal dropout. And the antenna that is on the Cutie Pi with a built-in antenna, it's a small one. Now, it'll work indoors. I had no problems with it, but it is a small antenna. And if you want to use this in a box or outdoors, or you want to just have range between different floors, we now have a UFL connector, and you can connect like any size antenna you like. In this case here is just a little simple wire UFL antenna, but you can also use this with a UFL to RP SMA adapter and then use an off-the-shelf Wi-Fi antenna. I want to say it again that you need a UFL to RP SMA. Do not use a UFL to SMA connector because that will not actually connect the signal through. Wi-Fi antennas are weird. They picked a different standard. Just make sure you get an RPSMA. Otherwise, you'll be like, I'm not getting any signal. And then I'll say, check that you have the RPSMA, and you'll say, I don't. And then I'll be like, yep, that's what happened. And then you'll have to get another adapter. So just get it right the first time.
Do you want me to go to the overhead to show this thing off?
Yeah, I got a little, just simple demo here. I'm just showing, so this is what it looks like with the antenna connected. You've got the reset and boot buttons. Up top, there's a NeoPixel that you can just see blinking really fast here, purple. And on the back is the ESP32S2, also 4 megabytes of flash, 2 megabytes of PSRAM, RP2049 included. There's a little battery connector up here. You can connect, it doesn't have a built-in battery charger, but it does have the ability to have external battery input, that is the diode protected, because a lot of people requested that for our Cutie Pis, and I think with Wi-Fi, it's especially useful. And what's really nice is that the Cutie Pi series has the STEMMA QT port, and so you can, again, plug and play, sensors and DACs and OLEDs. So yes, you can plug into a breadboard and connect the 13 GPIO up, 11 pins here, I2C, analog inputs, hardware SPI, or the extra 2 pins on the I2C port, or you can just plug and play. So wireless connectivity to sensors, and then you program it with Arduino or CircuitPython with a nice antenna. You don't need the external antenna, get the one with the built-in antenna. Maybe the signal strength is good enough for you there. So, UFL.
And that's new product.
IFL, UFL. We all FL.
Okay, one just quick reminder, the code is Nuggets. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is we just got Circuit Playground Expresses back in stock, and a lot of people were waiting for them. We have thousands. We've been working diligently to get them. Lots of schools want these. Lots of people want these, so you might want to pick some up because they will go fast.
Those
All
were
right,
a pain.
so we're going to do Top Secret, then we're going to answer questions. So while we're doing Top Secret, go to adafruit.it/discord. Join all 32,000 of us, even when we're not around, and put your questions up. I have a bunch of them loaded up, but let's do some Top Secret first. Ready? Mm-hmm. Okay, for Top Secret, we're going to play one video, and then we're going to go really fast speed round with all these Cutie Pis you're working on.
Yes.
So we've been doing a bunch of stuff. This is on Ladyada's desk right now. It's an Apple II Plus, so you can tell we have a lot of stuff going on. On Friday, we just published this video. This will give you an idea of some of the things that's coming soon. Ladyada, what is this?
This is my pet octopus. No, this is the wiring for the Feather Floppy stuff that I was working on last week. I'm getting back to it. This is the floppy drive, and this is wonderful, and it worked. But you can tell the wiring is it's a little bit wiry. So I quickly sketched together a Featherwing PCB that has all the pins labeled to make wiring a lot neater. So I've got it plugged in now into my Feather M4, and this is the 34-pin interface, and I got this nice cable which has even 8-inch drive and some 5¼ maybe inch drive socket support. And then you can easily debug by plugging into the extra header. So if I want to watch the index pin or the data pins. And best part is it still works. So now I can actually add floppy write support because I feel more confident that my wiring isn't going to be flaky. So then you'll be able to fully duplicate floppy disks.
Okay, you're working on this pin thing.
Well, now what I do when I design a board, I actually add pretty pin support for that chipset if I haven't yet. And the reason I do that is it's really handy. When I assign all the pins, I try to get a good range of peripherals, I2Cs and SPIs and UARTs and ADCs, and it's sometimes really hard to keep track. And sometimes the schematic symbol is wrong. And so what's nice is using pretty pins to generate the diagram. I can really see, did I, because I made a board in the first version, I actually assigned the wrong hardware SPI pins. They weren't on an SPI peripheral. And so this is, a handy way to do that. So I added ESP32 to the repository. I made a couple of BFFs, little add-on boards for Cutie Pi. They go in the back, 5x5 NeoPixel, battery. I started designing an NRF52840 Cutie Pi, but I kind of don't really want to finish it. I did finish the ESP32 Cutie Pi, which has a Pico, and the Pico chip has flash and PSRAM. And this is a schematic, has a CP2102. And this is the pretty pens that I used to check to make sure. Actually, in the end, I was like, I forgot to put the DAC on A0 and A1, so I actually have to revise this, but I got close to being done. And then ESP32 S3, which is very, very similar to the S2 in pinout, but not identical, as I found out. A couple pins did move around, but I think I got it down. I think I got it figured out. So the C3 also, it's a different kind of chip. Not CircuitPython friendly really because it doesn't have native USB, but it's very inexpensive and Arduino supports it, so why not? And then I made a little gamer add-on. I thought it would be fun, especially with the ESP32 has so many emulators ported to it because it's such a powerful chip.
Okay, let's get to questions. We got a bunch.
Yeah.
Good questions tonight. All right, and if you put it in the chat, probably already have it, but wait to the end to repost it though. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Someone asked, what do we use for all of the parts management software? So we built it on top of ZenCard, an open source thing, but is there any free open source parts management systems that you saw out there?
People do have them, but I think a really good Excel spreadsheet could probably do the job. Yeah, there's no real. See, I will warn you that it's not a causation, it's a correlation, but the people who spend the most time on inventory management get the least hard work done. It might be cheaper just to buy whatever you need and then organize it later than spend all your time organizing.
Yeah. Okay, when do you think the floppy, Feather floppy interface board will be in the store?
I think a couple of weeks. I do want to revise it. I mean, I'm still testing, and we have to write a lot of software to make sure the hardware works. But I'll probably get the Featherwing into the shop first. But I do want to add level shifters.
Okay, I'll answer this one. The AdaBoxes have always been 4 boxes a year. Yep. How does going from the Halloween AdaBox to the fall AdaBox make any difference? Luckily for us, it's kind of Halloween every single AdaBox in some way, and we really make sure the AdaBoxes can kind of cover anything. We're kind of Halloween themed, generally speaking, so we'll make sure that there's always something in the fall box that is spooktacular.
There's no longer a promise that it is going to be on that day because it's just not possible to guarantee delivery of things anymore.
Kind of like go to the grocery store. Things are a little weird right now.
Yeah, I'm now I'm still getting lead times. I'm buying chips and they're like, we're getting them to you in 2023. And I'm like, this is a voltage regulator. Really? You're not going to get it to me for a year? It's just like that. These shortages are going to last throughout the rest of the year.
Okay, what are the current end voltages for all the colors of the 16x9 Charlie Plex LED array?
Well, they're all going to be the same current and voltage, actually, right? You just power it with 5, and they all use the same amount of current, just the brightness will vary.
Okay, I can answer this one. How do I use CircuitPython on a Circuit Playground Express? Good news, go to circuitpython.org, go to downloads, download the UF2, so you just double click the button on the board, drag the UF2 over, and guess what? You're now using CircuitPython.
Check out also Ann Barella's book on getting started with CircuitPython,
Or
Circuit Playground Express.
Learn.adafruit.com has all the CircuitPython essentials, and then you're going. What's cool is when you're done, you can go to make code on that board. You can go to Arduino. You can use a variety of programming languages.
Lots of stuff. Rust.
Yeah, it works with everything.
Go for it.
Next up, I am looking to doing a run of Circuit Playground Express and Circuit Playground Bluefruit companion boards. I designed to use SMT solderable standoff nuts. Next time Adafruit does a run of a product that uses them, could you please do a video showing how the nuts are soldered on the board? Going to be hand assembled and not sure how the best way. Short of having a pick and place, of course, going on the board.
Those are very hard to solder with a soldering iron. I really do think you need to hot plate them. So you just put paste on, you insert them, and then you hot plate them very, very carefully. But I don't think you should solder them with a soldering iron. It's actually quite difficult to get it that hot.
I can answer this one. What's the minimum price to buy a factory like this? It's not actually the money. Altogether, everything, it's millions of dollars. It's the time. We dedicated our lives to this. I don't know. What's 10 years of life worth? And we didn't do any loans, no venture capital. So that's the real expense, is that and taking great care of employees and having 401ks and great benefits. So it's more than just the stuff, but the stuff, the pick and place machines and all that, it's $2-3 million. Next up, weird noob question here. Can I sell my product commercially if I use all Adafruit parts and components? Absolutely, 100%. And that is why we do what we do. Okay, can't believe how responsive you all are. In the Desk of Ladyada, you said ask for what changes you like for CircuitPython. I was thinking of the ESP32, ESP32C3 support, and by the end of the video, you said it was coming.
It is. It's something that we worked on. There is C3 support because I know MicroDev did a PR for their MicroDev C3 board. The C3 does not have really good native USB support, so it's just going to be a different experience, and ditto with the ESP32. If we support it, we might use Bluetooth as the main recommended way to program and communicate with the board because they just don't have native USB. That said, C3 is supported because we have at least one PR for it.
Once ESP32 and ESP32C3 data support is added to CircuitPython, should it be easy to contribute pin definition files for third-party boards like the M5 stamp?
You can do it right now. We have a guide on how to do it.
Cutie Pi ESP32S2, what is the lowest battery voltage you recommend for this board?
Like 4 volts, I think would probably be a good place to start.
Cutie Pi ESP32S2, what would be the best way to get an estimate on the battery? Use the quick INA 219 board along with the ESP board?
I would use a Nordic PPK. INA 219, it's good for larger currents. It's not going to get, it's not really a power analysis board. You should get a PPK and just do proper power monitoring on it.
And then is it possible to get the enable pin? I think that was...
No, it's not. You want that, you're talking about a different board, you're talking about itsy bitsy, you're talking about a feather.
Okay, there is a top secret in the beginning of 2020 about an NAU 7802 breakout board for reading load cells. I guess it was never completed. COVID ruins everything.
I can't get NAU chips. They are, like, Nuvoton is one of the most impossible to get chips. I've had a reel of chips on back order for like a year now. And the lead time is now like 2024.
Back when we were using the Luna Pick and Place, how did you do your solder paste application? By hand?
We did by hand with a stencil machine.
And then how did we do reflow with a toaster oven?
Toaster oven.
And how do you clean your SMD stencils for storage after using them? Having clean stencils is super important.
wipes.
Okay. All right, let me go back to questions here. Could you recommend an effective way to hand assemble the SMT solderable standoff nuts on a board? Oh, I think we got to that one. Okay. Have you ever designed for curiosity of other people in a project? Do you have a random tip in this regard to really spice up things finishing on a project? Kind of vague question, I know. Design for curiosity is making something so other people want to interact, ask questions about your project.
Maybe have a good silk screen, I don't know. Maybe a good case.
Okay. Does Adafruit carry a product that extends wired Ethernet via electricity outlets that's viable and comparable method to straight from wire to computer router?
I think that's an existing product, right? There's an Ethernet over power thing, but I don't know. I haven't seen it in like 10, 20 years. I think it's an older thing. Doesn't necessarily work very well with some power systems in houses or buildings because of the way the power is routed. You could use Wi-Fi, or you could just use a really long cable.
Okay. Which wire pack is correct for the 30mm arcade buttons in the 1x4 breakout? Thank you.
Post in the forums. I don't have the product in front of me, so I don't know.
Okay. And someone was saying, I meant the LED board, not the I2C. I guess that was for the question a while ago. That was, what's the voltages for the colors? I don't know.
I mean, you can. You should really run it with the Charlie Plex board, which has constant current. I don't try to guess the voltages on the LEDs because they're not going to be the same from run to run.
I think this is a follow-up from the previous one. Will the paste flow around from one side, or will I need to put the paste on 2 or 3 sides in the hole? I think that was the bolt question.
You just put it on the round part, and you put on top. It just solders on one side.
Okay. Is there an ETA for the I2C backpack 7 segments with the stemma QT?
I'm glad you asked. It's next week.
Okay.
Did not get to it today.
Any good way to estimate power consumption of the various boards, such as stemma QT and various stemma QT boards?
No, there is no good way to estimate. You need to use a power monitor like the PPK. You're going to be very upset if you try to estimate because a lot of things, people can estimate stuff when it's a constant drive, like a motor or a single LED. But once you have stuff that has like Wi-Fi, and sometimes it's displaying something, and sometimes it's not, and the backlight's PWM, it's very hard. Nothing really beats just invest $100 into a power monitor. Back when they were $800, I'd be like, that sucks, but now they're $100, and you'll be able to really know exactly how much power you're using. And like, I really want to recommend people do that because you'd be surprised how a little bit of code can make a big difference in your power use cases.
Okay, more requests for the floppy duper board. Yeah, we're working on it. It'll be out soon.
I only got it yesterday, guys.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the show now.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
As soon as possible because we're really excited about it. And we appreciate everyone thinking of all the cool things that they're going to do because this stuff was hard.
Yeah.
All right. I think we are all through all the questions.
Okay.
Good work, everyone.
So many questions here.
Yeah, right on time, too. Okay, everybody. Well, that's our show for this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. We very much appreciate it.
Right on time.
Thank you to Cara for doing things behind the scenes and more in our Adafruit Slack chat that we have for our team. Special thanks to the entire community that showed up here and all the customers that bought stuff. Thank you for keeping us going. It literally keeps the lights on. We're going to be here next week. We're going to put on our masks. We're going to go home. We're going to have a snack. We're going to crash out, and we're going to rinse and repeat. That's what we do. Don't forget, save $1 or $2. Nuggets is the code.
Nuggets.
And you get all this free stuff when you load up your cart. That is our show for this week. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
This has been an Adafruit production. Here is your moment of Zener. See you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.